Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of The Opportunity. I am your host, Gregory Elfrink, the head of marketing here at Empire Flippers. Today, I am talking to Morten Storgaard. He is an absolute beast when it comes to the content site world. He runs a YouTube channel called Passive Income Geek. I've had the pleasure of talking to him several times now, both on his channel and in the course he's made. Really, really nice guy, extremely knowledgeable. If you are looking to build out a content business yourself, then this is a fantastic interview. And again, hello, we're trying video again on this podcast. Hopefully it works. If you don't see a video, that means it didn't work. But if you're on YouTube, hello, come over and leave us a review on the podcast as well on Apple or Spotify. It helps us a ton. Or go and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're listening to the podcast. Talk to you guys soon. Let's get into it with Morten. All right, I got Morten Storgaard. I messed it up. You were trying to teach me offline, but I'll do the American way as you suggested, Storgaard. So Morten, I'm happy to have you here. We've done a few video podcasts a couple weeks ago, so I'm excited to have you on our podcast. So for everyone out there who's not familiar with you, maybe this is the first time hearing from you, introduce yourself, where you are in the world, and what you do.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Greg. So we're in Denmark. So if people don't know where that is, it's close to Sweden, also known as Scandinavia. So obviously, Norway and Sweden used to be a part of Denmark a long time ago. So yeah, fun fact, tiny country, 5 million people. So being over here and doing American affiliate websites or content websites, whatever people want to call them these days, that's what I'm doing. Yeah.
Wow, there's only 5 million people in Denmark?
Yeah, close to 6,
Wow.
5 or 6. Yeah,
that's nuts. I'm in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam. There's 8 million people just in the city.
yeah. Something else people don't know about Denmark. Most of Denmark is actually islands. I'm on the only part that's not an island. It's a little tip that's connected to Germany. So
wow,
yeah,
wild. Yeah, I'm used to being from a place with like no population. Being from Alaska, there's less than 1 million people in Alaska.
yeah, sure.
So I often joke like one city alleyway in Saigon is more than all of my fellow Alaskans.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Thanks.
So tell me a little bit about your YouTube channel, and we'll get into building content sites, but so everyone knows your full spectrum. Tell me a bit about Passive Income Geek and how you started that.
Sure. So I started the channel close to 3 years ago, I think a little less. Yeah. And I've been trying to fly under the radar or go silent for many years, but decided it was time to start talking a little bit about what I do. And I chose YouTube because we've been doing YouTube. My wife's been doing YouTube for one of our bigger sites, Go Downsize. She's got the silver button and stuff. So she had some equipment, and I wasn't completely unfamiliar with the medium. So I decided to go that route. And there was basically to get to know more folks, because being in Denmark, sitting in your basement when nobody understands what you're doing, I guess it's the same problem everywhere else, but you also have the language thing here. So everybody speaks English in Denmark. Of course, we speak Danish first, but people don't build American websites here. So yeah, so it was kind of lonely, and being extremely extrovert, I guess, like yourself. I don't know if that's you, but I know you go to a ton of conferences. So I hope it's not too far
I'm
off.
a very weird introvert. So I'm actually an introvert at heart, but everyone thinks I'm an extrovert. But there was this thing I read a long time about introverts loving systems, and my system I made was like people. Like how do I get through this? Or like what weird joke can I tell people where I feel comfortable?
I think it's because
it works.
I think it's because people have this picture of introverts being like, they don't say anything.
Don't
like
talk
that's
to
how
me.
I feel. That's how I feel like every time I go to Finland. They don't say much. Like everything is like 1-2 words or at most a sentence. So you're obviously good with people. I guess that's what fooled me. Yeah, but being an extrovert, I just needed to get to know some more folks and hang out with more. And also, of course, to learn some new stuff myself. So that was my incentive to go on YouTube. And so I did that, and I've been rambling off almost 3 years now, and got a bit of attention. So the YouTube channel runs alongside with the course. So I talk about, I give some, you can say I share some tips, and people can see more tips in the course. And then, of course, I talk about my websites, my passive income websites, if you will.
Awesome. Yeah. So let's get to the content size and then we'll circle back into Passive Income Geek. And I have a
Yep.
few questions on YouTube for you as well. But
Sure.
first off, why content size? So anyone out there in the audience who doesn't know what that means, content size usually they have SEO traffic, so coming in from Google. They are
Yeah.
articles like blogs, like WordPress blogs, monetized through display ads and affiliate links. Not always, sometimes there's other stuff in there too, but that's the most common. So
Yeah.
what is it about that business model that excites you so much?
Yeah. So I do come from first an e-commerce background, and then I ventured into 100% affiliate sites, and then I moved on again to content sites. So I did find the affiliate space good place to start, at least for me, since I was in Denmark. So again, Denmark is a tiny space, so you need to go into something big where there's a lot of ways to make money, and affiliate was just the only game back then. I think it was before header bidding and programmatic ads and all that. So you could smack some AdSense ads on your site and earn pennies, but the real dollar back then, at least, was only found in affiliate sites. So yes, I moved first from e-commerce, did a few of those, and it was just a ton of work. Obviously, I did that to become more financial, geographically, if that's a word, freedom thing, and went into more passive sites. And once you grow to a certain size, like you also mentioned on my YouTube channel, an affiliate site is not that passive. Once you have like thousands of affiliate links that you need to monitor and
Yeah.
check if you need to flip the switches to another network or another vendor, another product. And and also I just reached the ceiling because my first affiliate site that I quit my SEO gig, I was as an SEO consultant in between the e-commerce and going full-time affiliate marketer. I was an SEO consultant for a few years. And once I quit that and just went 100% into to the affiliate space, I made all my sites in Danish. So I sort of hit the ceiling there. So I had one of the bigger tech blogs talking about internet. That's a big thing. There's a lot of competition here in Denmark because the state dug down all the internet cables and then they rent them out for sort of for everybody. So we have like 7 or 8 big internet providers for 5 million
Wow.
people. So they have to switch all the time because there's a lot of competition. It's easy to get in. So there was a great space for me to get into with the affiliate approach. And then I
Did,
moved from there to content sites.
did you find, you said you reached your ceiling? Did you find that you moved over to more display ad monetization for a little bit more of that
Yeah.
hands off approach? What,
Yeah, because then I had to start all over again. So I decided to do, of course, I kept that other site, but I wanted to start afresh. I started also some sites for an American audience primarily, but English
also
websites.
known as freedom sites, Morton.
Yeah,
Freedom
we can
sites.
call them that. They're definitely freedom sites. Yeah, that's a good word.
Just here with the American propaganda while I'm in Vienna.
Yeah, yeah. Put a little eagle in the logo. That's awesome.
That's
Yeah.
right.
So definitely. So I went into, you can say, American affiliate websites and quickly started messing around with display ads, see what it could do because there was some talk about it online, and I wanted to see if it could really make some good bucks. And then I decided to go all in on that. So I still have affiliate links on my sites. Actually, I spent all day yesterday just smacking affiliate links on a ton of articles. But the primary income now is definitely ads, display ads.
That's awesome. I love affiliate links, especially when you're first starting out on an affiliate site. But as time goes on, like once you get to the, some monstrous 2000 article website,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it does become a mess to manage. Like I love display ads at scale for that very reason. This actually reminds me of a conversation I had years ago, not about affiliate and display ads, but rather about PBNs, private blog networks.
Oh yeah, sure.
All my friends were using them back in the day, and I was never like ethically against them or anything. Like we sell them on our
Mm.
marketplace as long as people are honest about it. So like I've never
Yep.
had any like moral issue with them or some white hat crusader over here. But I told
Yeah.
my friends I would never do it because it's such a pain in the butt. And they're like, "What do you mean? This is great!" Like yeah, try like let's see how great it is when you have like 500 or 800 different PBN links you're managing on like one site. You're
Mm.
gonna hate yourself. So like
Yeah.
it's way better just to like go to a normal website, like do normal outreach at scale.
Yeah, right. That can get really messy. I actually, fun story. I have a friend in Copenhagen, so that's the capital here in Denmark, and he built this the link machine. That was quite a long
Mm.
time ago. But he would send like just 4 or 5 links to the site, and then he'll just bombard what we call tier 2 links, like links to back up these 5 links. So they would each get 1,000 links. So you sort of now had these handles. You could just flip these 5 links to another site once you got penalized. It worked really, really well before all these crazy Google updates.
Yeah, yeah. Dude, I remember doing stuff like that with SE
Yeah.
Nuke, Unique Article Wizard. What is
Yeah,
it?
yeah,
GSR, right? Google. I forget what that abbreviation stood for, but yeah, I used all the Black Hat tools when I first started out years and
yeah.
years ago.
Yep.
So when
Yeah.
you're, it's good times, Wild Wild West days.
Yeah,
How do
absolutely.
you when you're looking at building a new content site? How do you identify the lucrative niches? What are you looking for, and what are you staying away from?
Yeah. So, like I just briefly touched on, it used to be 100% affiliate sites. I would just go into either a big store where I knew that I could have a good commission structure, or sometimes I'd ask the affiliate networks to recommend me something to work with since they knew me pretty well. But nowadays, so that's definitely still one thing that I do. But now I more look into like how can I break into something that could potentially go like crazy big. So I mostly focus on the domain name and not so much the specific niches, because I want to be able to not only pivot, I would say, but just continue in many directions. So I really like super broad domain names that can mean a ton of things without just being a weird name, or but still have some sort of angle to it. So then I try and see if whenever I can do that, and then I'll try to start out super, super narrow. So I look if I to see if I can find sort of a cluster of, let's say, 20, 30, 40 articles with low competition, where I can sort of start digging from that starting point, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. So you basically will get a brand domain that can mean a lot of different things. Say something like
Yeah.
the example I always use is like Kitchen Hero, but Kitchen
Yeah.
Hero
Yep.
might
Great
only
name.
be talking
Yep.
about blenders, like at
Yeah.
least in the beginning, like
Exactly.
500 articles on blenders.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
And then I
that
can
makes
just
sense.
continue for like 10 decades if I need to.
Yeah, yeah. That's
Yeah.
awesome. I think that is the right strategy to start nowadays. I actually have a friend. I don't know if you do this or not. I'd be curious on your take on this. So I have a friend. He has a website that's all about pets, a specific type of pet.
Mm.
And he actually built it, funny enough, to be his link source and traffic source to his e-commerce store, because he was finding it so
Ah,
hard to build
interesting.
links to his e-commerce store. So he built this
Yeah.
media company around his niche, which was wildly successful. But what he does is he'll find all the topical relevance, like the entire silo, the entire topic silo. He'll write
Mm.
it all, interlink it all, and then publish it. Like only he doesn't even publish it unless the entire silo is done.
Oh, wow.
Which I think
Sounds
is
like a lot of
interesting.
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So his theory, I don't, I've only ever heard of him saying it, so I don't know if this is true. But I mean, the site's wildly successful, so I think he might
Mm.
be onto something. He said that
Yeah.
it's better to publish the entire silo at once instead of drip feed it, because then Google just has to like reevaluate everything, so it actually slows down your site's ability to
Mm.
rank and stuff, which I thought was interesting. Do you have any tests you've done on like content velocity or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually working on, or I can say not, it's not super active because I just posted a site like a year ago, and it's been sitting there, so I'm not exactly working on it right now. But I'm building up to a video that's coming on my channel soon about so I built a website with just one article in it just to see what happened, because there's absolutely no topical relevance, just to see will it ever rank. One super duper article on something that nobody wrote about, and it just took like an extra 10 months, I think. So it took like forever for
Yeah,
it to
yeah.
just start ranking on anything. So there's definitely a lot to that topical relevance. I did a few other crazy tests. I just tried to build a site with as little topical relevance as possible. So I wrote like 20 articles just all over the place, like totally non-related, just to see if a site built like I normally would, like
Mhm.
targeting, I call them underserved topics, but really topics that haven't been written much on before. See if it will rank it. And that also ranked, but also like 6 months later. So yeah, so this topical relevance is definitely something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's becoming the key to it all. I
Yeah,
remember years ago there used to be the drip feed versus like publishing all at once, like as the articles would get done. That
yep,
was a debate.
yeah,
I've always been a fan of the latter. So hearing this guy talk
yeah.
about just yeah, I just do the entire topic cluster and publish it, like, wow, that's pretty
Yeah, I mean, I
impressive.
guess if you can put like 80 or 100 people to work and you can build like hundreds of
That's
articles at
exactly what
a
he
time.
has. Yeah. So yeah, he has a
Yeah,
big budget. So I probably wouldn't recommend it for
yeah,
everyone because that is a
yeah,
lot.
probably not
But
the way to go for most people. I like to just publish them as we go, and also it could be fun if you somehow could test it, because that's very very difficult. I think because no niches are the same, and you can't do the same site
yeah,
twice. Yeah, I like to get it out there as quickly as possible, and then I just try to have them closely related, so Google will
yeah.
see growing topical relevance at least in the beginning. Yeah,
In general, that's my preference as well.
yeah,
Tell me
I
a
think
bit
that's what
about
most people.
how tell me a bit about your content production system. So we've thrown around a few numbers here, 30, 40 articles. Someone out there who's
Yeah.
just finding out about this, like, holy crap, Morton writes a lot. But you're probably not writing any of it, I would imagine. So tell me a bit about that
Um.
process.
Yeah. Yeah. I started writing a little bit again. I wrote one article last week, for example. So I'm trying to zoom in on some very competitive stuff that I write myself, and also some stuff that I just enjoy writing. I do a little bit of writing, but that's like way less than 1% of what we do on a monthly basis. So we're pushing out around 200 to 300 articles per month. So I know that's quite a lot. And also because we really try, of course, everybody will tell you this. We will try to keep really high quality, but to the extent that I write every single subheading, I do a lot of research for every article. So that's actually where I spend a lot of my time, is doing keyword research. I like to call it topic research, figure out what every article should be about. So that makes it a little hard to scale past 250 articles or around that mark per month. But that's actually, I'm a little weird. I like doing that. I like to funny topics around. And I have some friends, they'll tell me something funny things like, if something bad happens, they'll say, "Oh, give me keyword research every day over that." Like they just hate it, like, yeah, with a passion. But
Yeah.
I actually, I think it's funny. Yeah,
I love doing keyword research. I think the thing I hate the most is like backlink audits and analysis of backlinks.
yeah,
Like I just not a
yeah. Me
fan.
too.
Like keyword research, like it's like creative mixed in with a little bit of
Yeah,
logic, which I think is like super fun. Like to
yeah,
be honest, this is a weird admission, but every now and then, like I'll see a niche site or just something out in the wild, like, huh, I
yeah,
wonder if there's any keyword volume around that. And then I just like start poking
yeah,
around the
yeah, yeah.
niche. And like I don't even have an intention of making a website, but I'm just seeing what's there, you know? Like,
Yeah, I'm the exact same way. So as a kid, I spent a lot of time on the beach because Denmark is the only island, so we were always on the beach, and I spent a lot of time looking for amber on the beach. So it's sort
cool.
of this, like, it felt like looking for gold. See if you spend like 2 hours and then you find this great piece and a ton of small ones. I feel the same way about keyword research. To me, like you said, it's definitely a creative process, and also there's some data to it, some tools. It's a good mix of creative work and analysis and all that. And then all of a sudden you find this cluster, and it's like, what's crazy? Why did nobody build this?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I had a funny local experience with my brother-in-law. He wants to build a carpet cleaning company, and so I decided to help him out. I did some like local keyword research, and back in my
yeah,
hometown in Alaska, I was just like, wow, like I forgot how easy local is. There's like nothing going on here. Like all the websites look like
yeah,
they're JPEGs, like literally like someone just posted a JPEG of the design that they wanted. So it's just like a
yeah,
picture. There's no text.
yeah. Local
Amazing
can
stuff.
definitely be hard. Yeah, I'm helping my a few family members also, and that's doing some local stuff, and it's just hard. Yeah,
Yeah.
to find anything. Yeah.
So let's talk about social media because actually, before we move off of SEO, I do have a question
Yep.
for you. It says you've been around a long time, and now you're teaching people, and I'm sure you run across like bad information all the time. So tell me a bit of bad SEO advice you see thrown out there as if it's the gospel all the time.
Oh yeah, bad SEO advice. It's a good one. Oh, there's a lot. Well, there's a few trends that comes back every 5 to 10 years in SEO. Then it's new to most people, and it sort of gets this revival. I think there's I wouldn't say it's bad information per se, but to new marketers, the whole chatter about expired domains, I feel like most people are not equipped to spot a good expired domains. I see some folks throwing too much money at a domain that's toxic or somehow they just didn't validate it much. So there's definitely a lot of chatter about that. And also, so many times if there's a good affiliate program backing something, it will take off like crazy and people will try to promote it. And we can talk a little bit about AI tools, but right now I feel like that's also an area where a lot of people go wrong. Once in a while, I catch one of my writers doing it, and if they, you'll read some crazy stuff. Was it yesterday I edited some stuff that actually went live on the site because of course we can't read every single word during the editing process. So once in a while we have to let a writer go. So I think there's some bad SEO advice also around AI writers right now. Like it's the new holy grail. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you're falling behind. And yeah,
That's always the way with marketers. Is a constant game of FOMO. Like you're missing out on the next
yeah,
big thing, and
yeah,
like the next big thing
yeah,
isn't even worked out with the bugs yet.
yeah, yeah,
Talk to me about expired domains real quick. So if someone did, because I'm a big fan of buying already
yeah,
strong domains. I like already strong businesses, obviously with EF, right? But
yeah.
tell me a bit about what makes a expired domain toxic. What are you trying to avoid there?
Yeah, so I've done it a few times. Excuse me. So what I've seen a few times is that people might not do like basic checks. So first of course, I would go into something like Wayback Machine, just see what happened on the site first of all.
Mhm.
And maybe, so if I was going to do it again, I would probably buy an existing domain. So I don't know if that really qualifies as an expired domain, but
Yeah,
just take
just for the
over.
audience, existing means it never expired, it never got dropped, it was
Yeah,
always
yeah.
live. Yeah.
Exactly. So I'm just gonna continue it and slowly skew it toward the direction I want to take it, and add all this content to, let's say, a failed e-commerce site with some good backlinks or something like that. Because sometimes if it's been dropped for too long, I mean, it's just pure chance, it's your pure risk. You don't know if it's gonna wake up. So I would throw like maybe 10, 20 articles on it, maybe do like a handful and see what works and what doesn't work, because I feel like it's really, really hard to 100% predict if it's gonna wake up again and gonna continue growing. You'll have that benefit. So yeah, of course
Yeah.
you could also just point it to another domain you have. But yeah, I'm
That
more cautious
that was
about it.
my fault. That was gonna be my follow-up question. What do you think about 301s?
Yeah,
Because
I mean I yeah.
I like I have a lot of friends who've done it. I've never done it
yeah,
personally, but I think it's a great strategy of buying
yeah,
a domain, whether it's expired or live, and then 301ing it to your website. And if you can,
yeah.
individual 301 the actual content to that site. Like, is that something you've had any experience with?
Yeah, I've done all of it in the past successfully, and also a few times where it absolutely didn't work. I
Mm.
haven't crashed a site by pointing other domains to it, but these days I don't do it. I don't even build links to my websites. So
Wow.
that's one point where I differ on most strategies, I think, because I go after these underserved topics. I write on articles on topics that haven't been written on before, and then Google has no chance to rank my stuff, right? And then I just throw like a lot of it over time. And yeah, I over 3 4 years I built that to more than 1 million page views now, so it's working pretty well. I've replicated it several times, so I have like 3 4 bigger sites some are sold now. And so it's been working for me for a long time. And since I've been in this for a long time. I think I started out in 2007 building links and building my first sites. Yeah, that was just one thing that I started to hate, was the whole link building thing, because there's also this Tom and Jerry or cat and mouse thing. You and Google, who's the smarter one, and will it work in 2 4 5 years? And
Yeah.
when you're building like 250 articles per month, it's a lot of money, and it's a lot of money investing back into it. So the lower risk I can take, I'm happy to do that, and maybe grow a little slower. But also I feel like I can devote all this time entirely to just producing great content, and I really really like that route.
I think it's interesting. So I just had Ricky Kessler on from Income
Oh
School,
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
he
He's
also
awesome.
does a really yeah, he's great. It was really cool talking to him. Similar to you, I've been floating around year two's like social media and stuff forever, but we had never really gotten to talk to recent. But
Cool.
him, you, and then there's this other guy. I think his name is Nick Jordan. That he does a
Okay.
bunch of content velocity stuff, like all very much like not into the link building stuff, which I think is
Yeah, and
interesting.
also John Dykstra. People probably came
Oh
across
yeah, yeah,
some
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I love
the
John
fat stacks
Discotcha.
dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my very first guest post I ever did when I first came on with Empire Flippers was on his blog because I was such a huge
Ah,
fan.
cool,
I like just pestered
cool.
him to let me do it, and then
Yeah, awesome.
the founders at EF they read it. They're like, "Whoa, what the hell? This thing's a novel, Greg." It's like you know, you had 11,000 words on how to sell a
Wow.
site.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm a big fan of them. I think it's cool that this like no backlink building trend is starting to happen. Like I'm still,
Mm.
in my view, 80% of SEO is like high quality content and high quality backlinks. But if you have
Yeah,
high quality content, sometimes the backlinks
yeah,
can
yeah.
take care of themselves, right? But years ago, people would just like make those people pound sand. Anyone says I don't build backlinks, like you're a scammer.
Yeah, yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. And,
just no one
of
believed
course,
it.
I built backlinks like 10 years ago. I'm not sure you could do it back then, but I think at some
Yeah,
point Google got better at figuring out what an article was about. You know, back then you can rank, you could just throw in like the same keyword all over the place and you'd rank for anything because they had no clue what it was about, right?
you're right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think I don't know. I'm mixed on it because John Discotry has been doing it that way for years. Like back when people said
yeah,
it was impossible. I like
yeah,
I don't know. I think it's possible. I've never been great at building backlinks myself, so that's always the strategy I've used. Like make really good
yeah,
content, maybe pester a few people like within the
yeah,
niche, and then
yeah.
go from there.
Yeah, I
but
built a lot of really, really strong backlinks for my clients. That's actually what I did as an SEO, but that was more like a PR campaign I would run. So
yeah,
we would create some crazy stuff around stats or tool, we'd dig out some trends from their user base or whatnot. So this was like really big companies, some of the biggest Scandinavian companies I work with. So they had a ton of data we could look at and find some patterns, some stories, say, so this demographic does this thing in this crazy way, or, you know, and then we dig up a story and send it to the media and see if we could give it a spin in the, and then whenever it caught on in one of the bigger news sites, all the smaller ones just grab it, just write the same thing in their own words. So that's what I did back then, and that was also the last sort of links that I built to my own sites, was like spun around some really good stories that I threw out to the bigger medias where you could like absolutely never pay to get in, you know, like the impossible links. I'd just go for them and see if I could get just one or two of those, and then it would always like spawn a whole under forest of smaller links, because if it's on a big site, everybody want to talk about it. Yeah.
I love that. That reminds me of. Have you ever heard of an SEO agency named Distilled? I think they aren't just an SEO
Yeah,
agency
yeah,
anymore, but
yeah. Are they
uh,
in London? I think I heard them on the
I'm not
Brighton
sure.
SEO. Maybe.
They did this awesome presentation that really affected me though years ago. In fact, one of my marketing strategies I called a big filter was inspired by this
Okay.
presentation. But they gave all. It was the first time I looked at backlinks as like a PR move,
Mm.
like doing PR for backlinks rather.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they had all these hilarious examples, and one of the funniest ones was like how a porn website ended up on all the conservative Christian news networks. And like, what? And so like, you
Oh
go to
yeah.
it, and it's
Yeah.
it was like I think it was like Pornhub where they had the Got Wood campaign where every like minute of videos you watch they would plant a tree. And so they had this like very PG family landing page where Fox News, CNN, all these places were like linking to this Got Wood campaign and like laughing about it. But it like did huge wonders for the website, right? And it's like in the most like gray neighborhood niche ever that like you're getting all these like giant media
Oh
people
wow.
like linking to you. Like this is amazing.
Oh wow. Maybe even a parental guide or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy
It
stuff.
was
Yeah.
quite funny.
There's some funny stories. There was this guy in Denmark. So he was helping this sports gym, I think, doing SEO, and of course there's these gyms all over the place, and so they don't really see each other as competitors. So he did this huge guide to how much money could you save in such a business by just shutting off the light whenever people walked out, because the light would be on for 5 hours, but nobody was in there, some days. So everybody else linked to it because they wanted their users to know about this and to understand it. So he got like 40 like links from the same type of company, just from the rest of the country. So these campaigns are just gold in my book. I love when I hear some creative stories like that.
Yeah. That's my favorite type of backlink building, where it's like
Yeah,
there's actual creative mindset
yeah,
behind it rather
yeah,
than like, hey, editor, let me pay you $30 for that, for this link
yeah.
insert.
Either
Let's
you
talk
pay me
about social.
$30, I'm gonna send you like 1,000 emails.
Right. You take which one you want. You want the $30 or a dead inbox? It's in your hands now. So you got a pretty large social media presence yourself with Passive Income Geek. How important is social media to Passive Income Geek and to the rest of your websites?
Yeah, so Passive Income Geek first. So the only thing I do is YouTube. So actually, I just, like I said, did the YouTube channel to get to know some folks, and now I'm sitting here talking to you, Greg, and I'm in some really fun masterminds, talking to some of the biggest publishers, and I love that. So that was my motivation, and so it's absolutely crucial. So of course, I also sell my course, and that's only like marketed through the YouTube channel. I don't do anything else. I don't even have a Facebook page for Passive Income Geek or Twitter account or anything else. So absolutely crucial for my own sites though. It's a little different. So our older site, our bigger site, Go Downsize, that I also share on our channel. So it's about boating and RVing and how to live debt free. It's about a lot of things these days because it's grown pretty fat. Now, my wife actually started a YouTube channel. It's just her. It was her own passion project, and so that has like a pretty big following. I think it's at 5-10 million plays, pretty much larger because it's been a couple of years since I checked it, but more than 100,000 subscribers. But for my other sites, though, I rarely do much. I'll typically go in and just grab the handle or what do you want to call it, just reserve the name on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. So for two reasons, if I ever want to build it, or and so nobody else grabs it, because I want to
Yeah.
own as much as the IP as I can around the domain. Since I'm doing more of like a branded domain, like semi branded things.
With
Yeah,
the
I don't know if I.
with No, yeah, definitely.
Sorry.
I think that's interesting. So your wife is doing the YouTube for Go Downsize. I mean, talk to me about that a bit. Is
Yeah.
she still the face of it, or because now it's grown to something much bigger? Is there other people on there, or is it still her?
Yeah, so we tried a few times to invite other people on it, and there's a little forth and back on that. But now we decided to both be the faces on it. So I'm gonna be more on it. So of course, YouTube is very time consuming, as you probably know. Like such as
Yes.
podcasts and stuff, you sort of have to be there, right? It's hard to grow exponentially, like a site. But it's just something that we really enjoy, both of us, and we're gonna do more content together for the YouTube channel and gonna talk about some new stuff also, like environmental issues and stuff, and maybe a bit more of like how to take good care of the planet, something that my wife is getting into. And we moved back into the city, sold a car, bought a cargo bike. So there's a lot of stories around that, and how city life can sort of be a little different in some regards. So we're going to talk more about that together.
I was curious if you had any advice if someone wanted to do YouTube for their content site,
Yeah.
but say they have no interest in being the face. Would you have any advice for them on what they can go and do?
Yeah, maybe do something else. Or
All right.
I've seen some people do it very successfully. So like um, something similar to what we do on Go Downsize, talking about city living and how to live in a big city.
Mhm.
And there's this guy, maybe you've seen him. It's a Dutch guy. No, it's an American who moved to Amsterdam, I think. And he talks about carless cities and how they use more bikes, and how sort of the American city centers have become totally emptied out of people, and it's all just cars. So he's talking about that, and I don't know how he does so many videos about the same thing. This looks like he talks about the same thing. You'll have like millions of plays, and he's never in the video. So I think it's really good with B-roll. He's definitely mixing in his own B-roll between just like stock video footage of urban areas and stuff. But he has a very engaging voice. So it's all down to the narrative. He'll talk and you'll just get drawn into his voice,
Yeah.
because he'll say all these interesting facts and stuff. So you definitely have to compensate or have something else that really, really is interesting if you're not going to put a face on the videos. That's what I think.
We've sold a few YouTube channels. Usually they're
Yeah.
faceless, like almost like fancy PowerPoint presentations. And
Yeah.
so I talked to a few of my friends, a few of my SEO friends even. They're like, "What? PowerPoint presentations? That would
Yeah.
never work on YouTube." And then I show them this channel that I love called Economics Explained that is basically just a very
Mm.
fancy PowerPoint presentation with some B-roll. It's the same
Yeah.
guy on it every time, who I'm pretty sure is the owner, but he could eventually phase himself out and just like get
Yeah.
a voiceover person to do the scripts, because I'm pretty sure he doesn't even write the scripts at this point because his
Yeah.
videos are very in depth.
Yeah. Now I come to think about it, actually, I have a meeting this week with a local company. So some folks that I've known for a long time, and I'm gonna tell them a bit about, just give them some guidance on how to venture into social media with the company. And we talked a bit about how do you approach this if you eventually want to switch out that face. I mean, if it's yourself, if you want to sell it, or if you as a business want to hire somebody to do it and then all of a sudden they
Mhm.
quit, and then you lose that face that you sort of branded your YouTube channel with. So I'm gonna tell them to at least use two faces on it, because
Yeah.
then you could probably keep at least one of them. If one goes on a maternal leave or one just want to travel the world or whatever, then you could like keep some of that DNA in that conversation, because you'll keep one of the faces. So I have like two people on there, but that's probably just mostly relevant to bigger companies looking into YouTube. So as a content creator going faceless, I'm sure there's a lot of creative ways. I haven't done it myself, to be honest.
Yeah. I like the idea of having two people. I'm a fan of if you have, like, we're trying to do this ourselves right now, get
Yeah,
like multiple people on the camera, podcast,
yeah,
etc. And my hope is that people will want to watch the Empire Flippers channel,
yeah,
not the
yeah,
Greg's podcast or the Nick's
yeah,
YouTube
yeah,
channel, right?
yeah,
So,
yeah. There's also this
the
big
jury's
great.
still out.
There's this big YouTuber, Think Media, but there's a lot of those.
Oh
He's talking
yeah, I
about
know Think
YouTube.
Media. Yeah,
Yeah, and they're like 4 or 5 faces. But of course, it's easier once you have like millions and millions of subscribers.
for
Of course, you can
sure,
hire a few
100%.
folks really, really good on camera. So it's a little different.
Yeah. So talk to me about so you run, how big is your website portfolio right now? Do you have like 3, 5 websites or more or less?
I think around 10, but
10. Okay.
just a small handful of them like would draw in like 80% of the traffic. So it's not one big site, it's several bigger sites, but yeah, it's on a weekly basis. I think we post to 6 sites at the moment.
Is there any process you have that helps you run through all 10 of them smoothly, or all 6 of them rather? Cuz
Well,
that's a
I
lot.
have
Most
a
people I talk to only have 2
yeah.
or 3.
Yeah, and I'm definitely moving in the direction of fewer sites. So I used to have like more than 20 sites. So I sold a lot of really small sites. I sold like 10 sites to one guy at one point, really small, and also some medium sized sites. But so I want to focus on less, because of course, even though I have quite a big team around me, there's there's only so much focus you have, right? I guess I think you mentioned this also on my YouTube channel, like selling one site off, maybe it's only 10 hours of active work, but you'll be thinking about it constantly.
Yeah.
And I think thinking about 1 or 2 or 3 sites absolutely will make them better than thinking about 7 or 8 sites. So, but I do have like for all the bigger sites have like a dedicated person on it, like an editor role that also looks into content quality, fact checking, and posting, and a lot of different stuff, and working with those writers and keeping that team in check and being like the day to day touch point for writers. So I try to get myself further away from the content creation, but then again, I feel like I want to jump right back in, because now I sort of got myself obsolete, and that's just not where I want to be. I got into this because I love producing great content, and I love to have something drawing like 5 or 10,000 people per month, and just know that it's an awesome resource that's going to be there for a long time. So I have a mixed feeling about this, but I do, the way I do it is to have some really, really good folks that I trust a lot, that are
I
deep
I
into
totally
this field.
feel I feel you on the content thing. Like I've been trying to remove myself from the content engine at EF for the last
Yeah.
few months or
Yeah.
so. Obviously, it's not working. I'm on this podcast. uh, like, and I love making content, like whether it's an
Yeah.
interview or writing something or doing a YouTube video or
Yeah.
a speech at a conference. Like, it's just
Yeah.
really, really fun. Like that's like my thing in marketing is content marketing. But so
Yeah.
as I'm looking at like paid ads or email marketing or referral
Yeah.
programs, it's like this is just nowhere near as fun.
Yeah.
Even though I need to do, I don't need
Yeah.
to do it, right? But I
Yeah.
love content creation.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your.
Entrepreneurial
Oh,
side.
go ahead.
Sorry. Now,
No, go ahead.
just one note. My entrepreneurial side always wants to throw me into doing new stuff, but then there's a few things that I always come back to, and for me, it's content creation. So, yeah, there's this thing where you want to promote your best writer to become an editor, your best editor to become a COO or whatnot, and then you really take them away from maybe. Sometimes you just take people away from what they're really good at, and sometimes you
Yeah.
promote yourself to get out of something that you really really like doing, and it's something to be aware of, I think.
Yeah, the I think that's called the Dilbert principle, right? You rise to your level of
Okay.
incompetency.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Which I always thought was a funny thing, and I've seen that in other companies before. But talk to me about your team structure. So you mentioned editor,
Yeah,
writers. Like, how does the basic organization look like for you?
yeah. So I have like two editors who's sort of like my main folks. Absolutely, it's like my left and hand, right and left hand. So they do a lot of stuff. I trust them with a ton of stuff. Then I have a few more editors on a little lower level, you can say, just do editing just to get some more bulk articles up there. So those are the folks that I talk to on a daily basis. I don't have a lot of VAs, and I think something that's maybe a little different in my camp is that an editor for me is one who does like everything except writing. So they'll find pictures, they'll do internal linking, they'll post the thing, they will sometimes upgrade a few things, go in and tweak things, and if I get an email about something that something is off, they'll have a look at it too. So they do a lot of things. It also means that I need more of them. So I know other publishers like really have one guy looking at pictures, one looking at internal links, one and a ton of folks. So my team is pretty small, I think, or at least the roles are few, you can say, and then there are more of them, I think, and then they communicate with each other and yeah, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And then the editor layer that I just described, they all have a certain amount of writers assigned to them that they work with, that they cater to, and they answer all the questions, and they will, yeah, just also know them on a more personal level. I ask them to know what the dog's name is. Just get involved, so it's not all scattered. Because I think that's a good way to keep folks on the team. I really like to get to know my editors personally too. I like to travel and visit them and invite them over sometimes, and so it's not completely
yeah,
separated, you can say, because I think that definitely enables me to trust them more once I get to know them. We can become good friends, I think. So that's one thing, like the likelihood of them screwing me. But also, I really like to hang out with folks. I'm a social person. I like to have colleagues, and that's the only way I can get them is to invite them closer. Yeah.
yeah. That makes sense. Do you have like a certain like ratio of editor to writer? Like you only have three writers to editor or something like that?
No, not really. I think there's not a lot of structure, and there's not a lot of uh, yeah to how I structure things. So it looks different for every editor. I feel like they have different skills, other things they're interested in. So one will do more photos, and one will handle a lot of folks, and one can only handle so many. So it's much more down to what each editor and each person can really handle and how they like to work with things. If they feel like taking on more writers, we'll look into that. And if they feel like it's too much, we'll scale it back down. So it's I'd say it's between like 4 or 5, just a small handful, and 10, like every
And
writer is
in,
assigned to every editor.
in terms of payment, are you doing like a salary or project based, article based, something like that?
I normally do it per word, at least for the writing. Then I also used a few, I call them fact checkers, but some really industry experts. So, for example, on Go Downsize, I had a few boating engineers that I want to pick their brain about some stuff. Also, if we had some articles we wrote that I didn't feel 100 100% confident that all the information in there was solid. So I had them look over it. So that was on an hourly basis. And of course, the editors are also paid on an hourly basis, because sometimes they'll have to dive in and dissect an article. But most of the time they'll just glance over it and say, this is fine, because I know this writer,
Yeah.
I've been working with him for years. It's fine to just publish right away.
That makes sense. I'm always fascinated by how people organize their various teams. Like, I have a friend, he
Yeah.
does only salaries, and then you're doing word by word, which is what I started
I
off
do a
with. I
few
started with by
salaries.
word as well.
I think I have like two writers that works what works a little different. So
Okay.
of course that requires more trust. And I have on my to-do list too. I think I saw on Facebook that Mats.
Matt Diggity.
No, sorry, Mass. What
Oh,
was his
Mads. Oh,
last name?
Mads. Singers. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. The singers guy. Yeah. So I haven't met him in person yet, but we talked a lot, and he's from Denmark too. Funny thing.
Yeah.
So we can speak Danish. You can speak our secret Elver language
Secret
together.
Viking language. Yeah,
So yeah,
I
I
love
still have
Mads.
to
I
meet him.
hang out with him all the time
He's
here in
awesome.
Saigon.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna take his course. It's on my to-do list, and so I haven't done that yet. I'm sure there's a ton of things I can do much better. But what I've done so far is really just zoom in and focus on the person behind it, and yeah, see
Yeah.
how I can make their workday better and more fun.
When I first started as a manager at EF, because I was always the content manager, but I wasn't really
Yeah.
managing anyone. It was just me basically. But then I became the head of marketing, right? And like before EF, I was just an oil filled roughneck. Like, I never managed anyone, anything. Like
Yeah.
I did like my 5 Kaizens where I like talk about cleaning the floor. Like,
Yeah.
so I actually hired Mads as a consultant for like a month or so. Like, yo, man, what do I do?
Cool. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I know he's been working with some big companies. So yeah, so I just wanted to. I think I heard about him on the Authority Hacker podcast. I know he helped these
Yeah,
guys as well. So I thought, maybe then I could hear from his accent. There was a little bit of Danish in there. I found, and he has the same name as my brother. So Mads, Mads. That's a very Danish name. So yeah, so I'm definitely gonna see
he's a
if
cool
I can pick
dude.
his brain.
If you come out to Vietnam, usually he hangs out here as well, so we can all meet up for a beer.
Yeah,
um,
I thought it was in Thailand, but that's not that far, right?
No, he's in Thailand right now. So there was just a
Yeah.
DC BKK event, which I just got
Yeah.
back
Yeah, I
from.
saw it.
So
Yeah.
usually after that, people go to Chiang Mai for like a month or so.
Yeah.
But he'll be back in Vietnam, I think, at the end of this month or maybe the mid of this month.
Okay. Cool. Well, say hi if you talk to him.
I
Yeah.
will.
I hope to meet
I've
him at some conference soon.
I just probably doxed his travel itinerary, but no worries. Since this podcast is going to come out like 2 weeks later, no one's going to be sure on the dates.
Everybody rushes to Ho Chi Minh to meet him.
Where's Matt? Where's Matt? So let's talk about Passive Income Geek as we're wrapping up the podcast here. So what inspired
Yeah.
you to create the course about what you've learned over all these years? Was it purely the fact of trying to meet other people in the space, or was there something else there?
Yeah, I feel like if I was gonna go all in on YouTube, I felt like I needed to create a course around it to really teach people the good stuff, because I of course I didn't want to share everything for free on the YouTube channel, so I wanted to keep some of it, and I guess I like teaching. I like that part of it, and creating the course was a lot of fun. And I had some advice. I think it was Dan Dykstra, who was it? A few folks told me that they learned so much from creating their own course, so they would do it again without even selling it if they had to, because you distill your own knowledge so much, and you figure out why you do some crazy stuff, and then you stop doing it, so
Yeah,
stuff like that, or you
absolutely.
start doing some
Yeah.
other stuff. So I definitely benefited a lot from it, but I would say my main motivation was to somehow justify to myself spending so much time on a new YouTube channel from scratch, because I didn't know if it was going to work. Obviously, it's a very, very crowded space to talk about SEO and talk about YouTube on YouTube. I'll talk about blogging. So that's why I did, but definitely also to get to meet folks. That was why I started the YouTube channel. But the course is more to monetize the channel, you can say.
Yeah, I've had friends who started YouTube channels and they're very, very wise in what they know, and they're like, "I'm going to be the guy that doesn't sell a course. I'm just going to give it all for free."
Yeah.
And they
No,
then
I
they did
started
it.
out knowing I was gonna do a course. Yeah,
Yeah, but the ironic thing is they
yeah,
all ended up
yeah,
having a course because
yeah. Sure.
what they ended up finding out is like they could post all the content for free on YouTube, but it would get no
Yeah,
traction whatsoever, and so they'd have
yeah,
to like move into more clickbaity or browse friendly kind of stuff that
yeah,
would lead into the course. And
yeah,
if the course was free, no one would take
yeah,
it, so
yeah,
they had to like put a price on it, and people took it more seriously there, which I think is a
yeah.
funny like weird thing of human psychology.
That's also the thing with YouTube, obviously if you have a really, really interesting thumbnail or a clickbaity title, everybody will click it. That might not mean that it's the best content. So I would say some of my best advice are buried behind dead boring thumbnails that
Yeah.
I didn't know how to make interesting in the beginning. And it's probably videos that I would never angle that way because they just don't work well on YouTube because you need this crazy picture and what is this thing up there? These enticing stupid images that you just have to click them. And many times it's just not the best format I feel for teaching, that you have this one thing, because it's never how it is. There's no silver bullets. There's no one thing to change SEO forever, like every thumbnail will tell you. But that's just how you need to package it somehow to get any traction. Then you have to tell them, oh, that's actually not how it is, but here's the deal, because now we got them.
Right, right. That's why I like to do these 3 tricks will change your life forever. You won't believe what
Yeah.
number 2 is.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Added a little more optionality there.
Number three will blow
Uh,
your mind.
with a shocked face, yes.
Yeah.
So what does your course teach that other courses may be a little bit more lacking in? Like, why should someone pick you over, say, another one?
Yeah, I think, okay, so one thing that I definitely do, the one thing that stands out the most, I think, is that I build a site from scratch. So I take my own course and I film it. So first I built the course, and we can come back to that, how that's different. But then I have, like, I think is it 18 hours of video of me showing me doing every single step on this site that I built, and people can go in and check out. Because many times as a teacher, you've done it so many times, the stuff that you teach, that people don't get it because they don't, they just need to see it before it makes sense. So that's one thing. So I called it the build with us section, where I do every single step. And then I would say there's a few things that I dive much deeper into, and maybe I have a different take. So one thing is domain names. I obsess over domain names. I have a whole module just on how to crack that name, how to get a really, really good domain name that you can grow with, and how to find it without having to pay like top dollar for it. Then also in the niche selection, but probably most in what I call topic research. Everybody else calls it keyword research, but how to find those topics that have little to no competition, but also has search volume. So how to get your site started without building links. I think that's something that I dive really, really deep into.
I think that's very attractive for someone starting out because, like, 80, like I said, 80, probably really 90% of SEO is all content and backlinks. And out of that 90%, I would say 70-75% of it's content. Like,
Yeah, and there's
so
90
that's
ways you
good.
can build backlinks the wrong way, and if you mess up on that one, it's much
It's
easier to
real
teach a
bad.
beginner. Yeah, it's just so much easier to teach a beginner 100% the correct way to build good content. But it's really, really hard to teach somebody to build the first 50 links right.
Yeah.
Because it just takes a ton of skill to know, and you need to look at thousands of links before you start seeing the patterns of, oh, okay, this is not the
Now I
place
get
to get a
it.
backlink. But first, when you see like,
Maybe I
what, can I
shouldn't
get a
reach out to
backlink
this
there?
casino site.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
All right, man. Well, we're at the end of the interview here, the rapid fire section. Are you ready for my 3 rapid fire
sure,
questions?
sure.
All right. Just give me the first answer that comes to your mind, and we'll go ahead and begin. So, number 1, what are the best hidden growth opportunities when it comes to building out a content site?
But hidden growth potential, I think it's still looking long enough to find underserved topics, find a little tiny cluster that nobody really wrote about. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that because bigger companies, they can't afford to do that. So, like, the
Yeah.
person starting out definitely can't.
Yeah, sometimes I'll
Uh,
spend like 10, 15 hours just finding those first articles for a site. Yeah, I think that's
yeah,
that's
makes
key.
sense. What tools or resources can entrepreneurs use to help build their sites out?
Yeah, I use very, very few tools. I just use mostly Google autocomplete, and the people also ask in forums and stuff. But yeah, so that's a bad answer. Any tools that I do use, I've used one keyword tool called Keyword Chef, built by this amazing guy called Ben Adler. We did
Oh
a
yeah.
Q&A together at the affiliate gathering last year. We hosted a little thing together there. He's really cool. Out of all the keyword tools, I think that's really helpful because he has this very unique take on how. So he's digging up these topics that nobody wrote on. So he's digging into like finding topics and finding articles and keywords that has like forums and Quora and Reddit and those articles ranking it toward the top. So that's been helpful a few times to me as well. Yeah.
Yeah, Keyword Chef, that's a cool tool. We actually had Ben on the podcast months
Yeah.
ago, I believe. Really, really cool guy.
Yeah.
All right. The hardest question: what is your funniest moment working within the online business world?
Oh, the funniest business. The funniest moment.
Could be a business.
Well,
A lot of weird businesses
uh,
online.
yeah. To me, I think after parties are some of the best stuff for me. I love diving into some really really geeky stuff. You know, once in per year you meet these super geeks who know everything about a tool they built or something. Funniest moments. Yeah, I think to me after parties. I'll travel around the world for a mastermind or something. I went to the States a few times just to meet a handful of people, and it's like, so that's a 10-hour flight. But I know you do that all the time to do
Ah, yes.
see meetings and stuff. But I'll do that for a mastermind as well because sometimes they're just a ton of fun and always very very insightful. Yeah.
Yeah, I've been on a plane, I think, for over 120 hours over the last 30 to 45 days or so, which is a
Oh
lot even
wow.
for me.
Yeah.
But I will say that conferences in general, like sometimes if I have another person, like we're sponsoring it, we have a person
Yeah.
at the booth
Sure.
that's not just me. Like I'll give them like what I call the morning shift, and then I'll come in like at noon or at 1 p.m. because I
Yeah.
save
Yeah.
myself for the after parties because I
Yeah.
have to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
regulate my energy, right? Because it
Yeah.
drains me to be around people, even though I love people. But
Yeah.
so like
Yeah.
I
After the
prepare for the after parties.
Yeah, the last event I went to was this affiliate gathering in York, in England, and I tried to get everybody into this bar. Afterwards, I invited a few from it was these Mediavine managers and a few other, and it was just a ton of fun. I love doing that and just hanging out. I mean, to me, that's those are the best hours. When people are in the bar, they'll share some stuff they won't share from the stage, obviously.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's super fun. It's my favorite part of the conference too. For anyone out there
Yeah,
listening, if you go to a conference, like make sure you're willing to stay up late and go
yeah.
out to those places because in my experience, that's where all the best value happens.
Yeah, and ask the conference folks if there are any related events around town the night before and the night after. So sometimes they call it fringe event, whatnot. But just where are people meeting up? Because everybody's flying in the day before and flying out the day
Right.
after. So of course they'll
Yeah.
be doing stuff in town. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Morten, this has been awesome. I always enjoy talking to you. If someone wanted to learn more about Passive Income Geek and your course, or just reach out to you, what is the best place for them to contact you?
Yeah, so the only place is my YouTube channel.
Ah,
So
there you go.
then of course I have passiveincomegeek.com, but you can't really contact me there because I just get flooded. I hate emails, but on the YouTube channel I always answer every single comment on the latest video. I can't go back to old videos, but if people want to contact me directly, just throw a comment on the latest video because that's where I look.
Ooh, a
And
secret
of course, if they
engagement
want
hack
to
right there.
talk. Yeah. I mean, that's what I do because there's just no way I can catch up with hundreds and
Yeah,
hundreds of videos. And then, of course, in my community, if they want to really get involved, there's a community with the course, yeah, where I'm in on
awesome.
a few times a week.
Well,
Yep.
well, Morten, it was a pleasure having you on here. Thank you for coming on.
Thanks, Greg. Also, a pleasure.
There you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you inspired at all the different things that are happening in this industry. And of course, if you just want to buy a highly profitable business, you can always go to empireflippers.com/marketplace. Or maybe you want to make an exit of your highly profitable business, and you could go to empireflippers.com sell your site. I've been your host, Greg. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure you leave a review, give us a like, a follow, share it across social media. Talk to you all soon. See you on the next episode.